Tuesday, December 17th, 2024, Monaco 64, home of alternative economics and contrarian views. Well, today we're going to look at how the Great Taking has started already, at least here in the UK. And it's, I would say, going on everywhere, really. And I'll explain it to you why in this report. Yes, I did a video back in September of 2023 about the Great Taking. It's a very interesting book. I highly recommend it. I'm not sure where you can find it these days, but I think I originally read the free PDF version online, and then it became very popular, and David Rogers Webb came out with a hard copy. If you want to find out more about what the Great Taking is, I recommend you watch my video from September 2023. It's got 95,000 views. It's entitled, How the Central Bankers Plan to Come After Your Assets. And I'm going to put it up here in the card so you can listen to it if you don't know already about the Great Taking. Just a brief summary about what David Rogers Webb says. In his view, the Great Taking will happen when the whole system implodes, collapses on itself, a deflationary collapse. He says it's not 100% guaranteed, but the work he's done is that he's looked back in the last 50, 60 years, how the financial markets have been basically securities like stocks, bonds, and everything else have been, the proof of ownership has been digitalized. There's no more paper certificates. And also the laws and rules, not just in the United States, but all throughout Western Europe, have been set up in order to help the financial firms, the big financial firms and the central banks. So when there is like a big collapse, they can basically take your financial assets and anything that you have that is linked to financial assets, like your house, your car, through loans. They can take that to basically collateralize the system again. So that's his view of the Great Taking. What's the reason why I'm saying now that the Great Taking has started already? Well, here in the UK, it's coming in the form of taxation, and especially in the last budget. And I'm going to show you here an article I saw yesterday, and I thought, wow, this is the Great Taking. They're doing it directly and very blatantly. They haven't even waited for Mr. Webb's deflationary collapse. So you've got the story here in the Telegraph from the money section. You've stolen my happy retirement. The letter shaming Rachel Reeves, pensioner who faces a $1 million tax bill on his savings, urges the chancellor to think again. Your pension tax is gut-wrenchingly unjust. So let's just quickly go through this. And one thing I would say, hopefully people will wake up to the fact that it doesn't matter who you vote for. They're going to come after your assets. And why is that? Well, because the government and central banks and the banking sector, the financial system, they're all intertwined. So they're scratching each other's back. So if one collapses, the other one collapses. The only people they can come after is you to patch up their system. And why does their system collapse? Why is their system so fragile? Well, because it's a debt-based system that can't has to keep going. That's the whole problem with it. It's a fiat currency, a debt-based central banking system, and until we get rid of those two institutions, Nothing's going to change. But anyway, it says here, Dear Miss Reeves, I'm a pensioner who's 70 in March. I'm writing to try to explain how your budget has stolen a lifetime's plan for a happy retirement. Well, I don't think she cares, Mr. Pensioner. But anyway, let's continue. It's so dreadful in so many ways that it's hard to know where to start, but I'll try to explain as clearly and concisely as possible, so please bear with me. I was born and raised on a council estate in Leicester, and like my parents, voted Labour all my life. Well, that's a big mistake there, Mr. Pensioner. Or voting Conservative. So who do you vote for? Well, you don't vote. If you don't vote, you don't legitimize this central banking, fiat currency, government, corrupt system. That's all it is. I mean, it's very simple. So anyway, my father died in 1965 after a long, painful, and courageous fight with cancer. He was 45 and I was 10. As I watched him die in our front room, my mom was left heartbroken with no husband, no job, and 4 children aged 1 to 12 to raise alone. As a teenager, my father fought in the Second World War. Well, they don't care about that either. We are all cannon fodder for them, that's for sure, which reinforced in him key virtues in life, which he instilled in me before he died, like hard work, determination, honesty, integrity, respect, aspiration, and ability to stand on one's own 2 feet. You get the picture. Well, I'm surprised he voted Labour if he has these aspirations, which are really great. Why do you need Labour or conservatives to run your life when you have those kind of those kind of virtues instilled? But anyway, let's get to the nitty-gritty here. He says, I try to follow his guidance. I studied hard at school, at university, and at work. I became a scientist and reaped the financial rewards of a long and successful career. I retired at 60, worn out by a full-on, relentlessly demanding job, but content that I'd done my best and planned and saved wisely for a retirement my parents never had. Well, and I will add, Mr. Pensioner, you paid a lot of other taxes while you were working really hard and relentlessly. Before your budget, I'd have paid £200,000 inheritance tax, which is a huge amount of money in any working man's book, but it's arguably fair. Well, I don't think it's fair. I don't think he thinks either anymore. However, after your budget, it's $640,000, which is gut-wrenchingly unjust. The increase of $440,000 reflects your raid on pension funds, which doesn't end there, as my children could pay $360,000 income tax on the balance they inherit. So basically, there's going to be nothing left for his heirs. And the other thing the government has done through this last budget, not only the tax on pensions, but also the inheritance tax on farms, and also small businesses. That's been also ripped from small businesses. A lot of small businesses will not expand. What's the point of growing when you can't leave the business to future generations? So they're doing it already, people, the great taking. And this is the government. And why are they doing that? Well, because they're crappy fiat currency, which is created out of thin air, but has to have some backing. How do they get the backing? Well, they get the backing on the back of your hard work through taxation. They force you to pay tax with that Bank of England I owe you nothing currency. Just look at a Bank of England note. It says, I promise to pay the bearer on demand the sum of £20. Well, that was in the day where at least there was something behind that promise. There were gold coins that they had to redeem on demand. But now it's just a farce because there's nothing behind it except your labor and your heart, and your virtues of hard work, perseverance, and that's what they do. But unfortunately, people are going to keep voting. They think that reform is going to be any better, but they're not. When comes to shove, they're going to save the city of London. The hedge funds now are going to be saved. And they have to keep the city, the banks, the hedge funds now, private equity, who become part of this shadow banking world. Unless they save them, the whole government bond market collapses, the whole system collapses, the government collapses, and they can't keep going. And that's why I keep telling people, because you must be asking, how do we protect ourselves? What's one way to protect yourself from this pernicious system? You might be asking, because I'm giving you all that's wrong with it. Well, it's very hard. I think the first thing that we need to be aware of is that how pernicious the system is, and how you need to know who your enemies really are, which are the bankers and governments. And it doesn't matter which side of the aisle they're on. The governments, they're gonna fight for their survival, and their survival is only possible through this fiat currency central banking system. So it's hard. I think one of the best ways is to try to hide what you've got. And it's got to be done, of course, outside the financial system, because you can't hide in the financial system, not even cryptocurrencies, because if you open an account with any crypto exchange, you have to do KYC, you have to give government document. It's all going to be, it's not going to be hidden from the government. So what I mean by that is physical, tangible assets that are easy to keep away from the prying eye of the taxman, and some assets that are actually tax efficient, like coins of the realm, gold coins of the realm, silver coins of the realm. And I've been saying this for years. Not only do they protect you against inflation, they're also a lot harder for the government to come after it. And I'm not saying I guarantee this is going to help you. But the other thing I've been saying to people for years is that investing doesn't only mean investing in the stock market, in the financial system. It means investing in yourself, in your family, through things that make you happy and things that increase your knowledge and your self-sufficiency. So I don't know all of you, of course, so you have to decide for yourself. It's just my way of thinking, a strategy. And of course, unfortunately, this will make you want to keep your wealth and your earnings under a certain level, and that might not be a bad thing. It's not a good thing for the economy as a whole, but I think people need to realize that they can be happy by having enough to survive, having no debt, and you don't have to have a private jet, the Rolls Royce, or the 4 or 5 trips abroad every year. As long as you can stay self-sufficient and not be dependent on this pernicious power of government and banking. So what's the other way they're coming after you already? Not just through taxation. Well, it's through it's through taxation as well, but it's from another angle, and that's to do with all the money that the Bank of England has been printing since the collapse of the banks in 2008. We had to bail them out. Yes, us taxpayers. And how did that work? Well, the government basically borrowed £500 billion and pumped it in to the system so it could bail out the banks. The Bank of England indirectly bought those bonds that the government had to issue, bought it from the government with cash, and that cash was infused into the banking system. But now all that cash that they infused into the system, they bought gilts, and they did another $500 billion or so in 2020. But with interest rates and bond yields going up, gilt yields going up, the value of the Bank of England's portfolio is going down the drain. And we're having, yes, us taxpayers are having to bail out the Bank of England. As you can see here from April 2024, Bloomberg says BOE estimates losses on QE will cost UK taxpayer 85 billion. There's an old saying in the City of London when I worked there, when we saw a headline like that, we would go, I'm a buyer of 85 billion. What does that mean? Well, that number is going to be a lot higher. It's going to be more like 150, 200 billion. And where are those billions really flowing? Well, they're flowing partly into the government, but also into the bankers in the City of London, the hedge fund managers, the private equity people, the fund managers. That's where it's flowing. And if you want to see the reflection of that, you just go into the West End of London, central London, where all this largesse has been, all this wealth has been transferred from the general public in the UK. If you want to see the poverty that it creates, you go to the seaside towns throughout the UK, or not even seaside towns, but you go into the cities in the north of England, and you'll see the misery that it's created. So that's where we are. So the great taking has started in the UK, and it's full speed ahead. And you can bet it's probably going to get worse, because the Bank of England came out about a week ago, and it says here on Bloomberg, identities of shadow banks that use new BOE tool to be secret. What's this new BOE tool? Well, it's more bailouts. But now it doesn't just include the banks. It includes pension funds, insurance firms, hedge funds, private equity. It's an abomination, to be honest. And they use all these acronyms. It's called the CNRF. So what's the solution to this? Well, after the '08 crisis, they should have banned derivatives trading. They should have banned derivatives trading over the counter, that is. It should have been regulated. But the thing is, the signal they gave in 2008 is you get big enough and you put the system into danger, we'll come and bail you out, because we can't have the government and the financial system collapsing. So that's where we are at. The other thing I always tell people as well is that you need to try to deal with the government and the banking sector as little as possible. And what does that mean? Well, try not to be dependent on them. Try not to be a borrower or a lender in this system. That's all I can say about that. And many people have been asking me over the years, of course, where to get gold and silver. And I always tell them that they should do their homework to try to find the best precious metals dealer. But at the same time, I've given them the option or opportunity to deal with a couple of dealers, one in the United States, one in the UK, that I think are very reputable. They've been in business for like 35 years and 45 years respectively. Here in the UK, it's Gold Investments. They will help you as well. If you have any questions, you can call Oliver or Simon Temple, and they'll talk to you. All the details are below in the description. And in the US, it's Miles Franklin, who's one of the certified dealers for the US Mint. They've been in business since 1989. Yeah, and check their details as well below in the description. So Let's quickly look at where the markets are this morning. We've got spot gold trading at $26.48. It's down about $5. Silver's down as well, 30.35. It's down 17. I guess all the rage now is how Bitcoin is going to save everyone. But all I can say is don't be distracted by the short-term price moves in gold and silver. Look at gold and silver more as an insurance. And gold and silver will always have value. And it will always protect the purchasing power of your savings. But we follow it every day, of course. We started the year a lot lower, and we're a lot higher in all currencies. And what that means is this process of taking from us is going to continue. And if you don't have an exposure or a small, big, medium, or big exposure to some physical gold and silver, well hidden away, stored outside the banking system, yeah, your savings are going to be taken via purchasing power. Yeah, gold and silver, the secret of gold and silver is that they retain their purchasing power. It's not about buying today and selling next week for more fiat currency profits. Anyway, did I say it was 8:35 a.m. London? Yeah, maybe I did. Sorry if I repeat myself. The Dow futures is down 150 points, which is basically nothing these days. It's 1/3%. NASDAQ 100 future as well is down 44.2%. S&P, same kind of move. The currencies are pretty steady, but I see trouble brewing in the bond markets. I see that the 10-year yield continues to rise here at 4.42. We are at 4.16 last week. Also in the UK, the 10-year gilt yield is continuing to rise. It's up another 10 basis points. We're at 4.54. And this new facility of the Bank of England that they have, this contingent NBFI repo facility, SNRF. And notice how they make it sound really technical, but basically it's bailing people out with more money out of thin air. Well, they say here that if the gilt market gets too unruly, they're going to intervene, which means they're just going to print more money to keep these yields down. So QE is not going to stop people. They're going to keep doing QE. That's the only tool they have. And with that, I'm going to wish you all a very good day. Take care. Bye.